I can play music for the baby in any room.
Can you play Ride the Lightning by Metallica?
Inspiring a new era.
What's up, everyone? DJ Anubis.
And DJ Neko.
Here with you on Meltdown Radio Podcast with episode 2 of the Cultureverse Mindset, where Neko and I talk about pop culture, old classic news, things that have, aged over time, like musically. Like we're going to have articles that we're going to discuss a little bit about albums that might have lasted, records, so on. A little bit of drama here and there with different things, but
I think we're going to do a special of the Cultureverse Mindset the next time about music lawsuits.
Yeah,
that's going to be our next Cultureverse Mindset. So tune in. It's about ripping people off intentionally, unintentionally, and what artists got away with it, what artists did not get away with it. So we've got a whole list of people. So that's going to be a special Cultureverse Mindset that's just going to deal with plagiarism in music across all genres, because it's crossing genres like crazy. Just think about Vanilla Ice and Queen.
You got who's it? Robin Thicke. I've had metal bands where, like I just discussed with Neko, they have riffs that are very similar to other bands.
By other bands.
Granted, now some of the bands don't really care that much because it's like whatever, they changed up enough to where it's different. But for those of us who listen to a lot of music, we recognize the riffs and stuff like that, and some artists care about that. So
that's going to be a special edition on our next Cultureverse Mindset. This edition is going to touch on some of the entertainment headlines and music headlines that they're not so scandalous, I don't think, but some of them are interesting.
And the first one we're going to be talking about is it's from parade.com. The title says, legendary 60s rock band still holds album record 50 years later. And of course, we're talking about Pink Floyd, The Wall. Certainly a band that, I believe it's Dark Side of the Moon is the one that actually holds it.
It's over 50 years after its release, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon still holds one of the most impressive records. It spent 989 weeks on the Billboard 200 chart, but then it's back on the chart. I feel like with this vinyl renaissance. Really, we spoke about this on the last episode with Ghost being on the Billboard Top 100 at number 1, and more than half of the sales were vinyl. And I think this really, and you see that right there, it went from 42 to 24 on the top album sales chart, which only counts physical purchases. So I really think it's a record. Like, and right there, it's the record, number 15 on the vinyl albums chart. It's impressive because you got to think of other artists who have, platinum records, like they're saying here, Michael Jackson, the Beatles. So for this to just keep hitting the charts like that 50 years later, it's outstanding. And I love Pink Floyd so much. I mean, we even did the whole Wizard of Oz thing. So if you're ever interested, it definitely holds up. Watch the Wizard of Oz, listen to Dark Side of the Moon, and then flip it.
Yeah. It's interesting because, they also mentioned, like you said, the Beatles, Michael Jackson here. I remember when Def Leppard released Hysteria in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
They usually, a band will release a record in about 1 or 2 years, they'll release a new one. That's usually kind of how it goes. That's usually the way it works. Like because
they're touring.
But in their case, for that particular record, they'd done so well and then not dropped in the charts that they toured for like 5 years. They already had their record for the follow-up written like a couple years after, but they had to postpone it because
they're still making money off of Hysteria.
Yeah, Hysteria was still doing
all the singles
so well.
I mean,
I think they had like 6 singles off of that record, so it was just that amazing that they were able to have that kind of mainstay.
And what really is cool, I think, that we're getting a nice classic rock band having their little renaissance with the vinyl renaissance. We're seeing now, kind of like what you were saying before, a record would be released, but then you'd release singles off the record. It's kind of opposite now, where people are just releasing singles. So I feel like, pardon me, that now that we're seeing actual physical album sales are starting to tick up again, I think people are going to start paying attention to entire albums. And maybe I'm hoping that artists start really conceptualizing their albums again. I know for so long, especially once iTunes hit the market, it was all about get those singles out, get the downloads. And that took over for a really long time. And, think about people downloading ringtones, and all of that is just how artists, even like smaller artists, made money. And I feel like we got a lot in the 2000s and the 2010s. I don't want to call them one-hit wonders, but it's because you get known for one song. And I felt like it was very prevalent in that time because that's what they were doing, releasing a single, not concentrating on the album. Maybe now we're going to be like going back to, like, Def Leppard had such an amazing run with Hysteria. Maybe we're going to be releasing more albums and then picking the singles off the albums instead of just like release a bunch of singles and then we'll turn it into an album. It's not really a concept anymore.
Yeah. So the next one we have up is, again, from parade.com. It talks about, of course, reunites, so reunited bands. We see that a lot now. Like, even though we went to see 311 not too long ago, they weren't really reuniting. They were just still touring. But we had talked about how they kind of fell behind the scenes because, as the 90s went out, pretty much all the alternative rock bands were kind of forgotten about, but they were still putting stuff out, but no one was really talking about them. But in other cases, we think about mid 90s or so, mid to late 90s, when Ozzy Osbourne got Sabbath back together and they were doing Ozfest and stuff like that. So
the huge reunion.
Yeah. So in this case, obviously, and here's the iconic 70s rockers reunited for the first time in 23 years, which is the Guess Who. And originally, I think it's only a couple of times. I don't know if it's all the members. I don't know if they all survived or not. Maybe they did.
two members of the 70s band, you know, American Woman.
Yeah.
That's and then No Sugar Tonight in My Coffee. Yeah, that's the Guess Who.
Yeah, I love that band.
So total, like, it's a combination of classic rock hitting a little of the funk of the 70s, you know, really playing with both sides. I really hope that
Taking care of business
every day. Oh, and these eyes are crying. These eyes are... Anyway, they're a great band, and
of course, that was I should take that wasn't Guess Who when it did that. It was the Bachman Turner Overdrive, but Bachman was part of that other group, which had their own set of like really big time hits during the 70s.
So I'm hoping maybe they'll do like a double tour, and we'll get some Bachman Turner Overdrive and some Guess Who. I don't know. I just, again, all of this came out before I was even born, but I still have a lot of love and appreciation for it. And I love the music of the 70s and the 60s. And I feel like that was such a crucial time to like really play into like what a lot of artists started fully experimenting with in the 80s and 90s. And again, we kind of took a step back in the 2000s and the 2010s with a lot of that style of music. Like, these artists were writing things to perfection. They were writing harmonies. They were writing music for multiple instruments. It was just insane. And then, you know, we kind of got really into our digital age. We were leaning heavy on digital editing and adding things post, what do you call it? Post edit, where you add in after you do the vocals, you just keep adding in things to like pop it up and
remastered.
Yeah. So I feel like, again, that we're starting to see people, again, you have to, this is before my time, but I still love it. And I'm hoping, I mean, we saw it at the 311 concert. There was all ages. We're talking grandma to grandbaby ages, enjoying themselves and really feeling the music. There's something fun. And this is going to sound so cheesy, but like, bands with instruments, like when you start really getting a big band together, it's fantastic. And I hope, hey, maybe the Guess Who will come to the Freeman stage.
Well,
that's their...
Well, that would be a nice thing, because you know, here it's like they say the Guess Who joins previously announced lineup of Gene Simmons Band, Kevin Cronin Band, Blue Oyster Cult, Uriah Heep, Jefferson Starship, Ugly Kid Joe, Robert John Lorette, Gary Hoey, and the Two Wolves. So, dude, if you even gave me Guess Who, Blue Oyster Cult, Uriah Heep, Jefferson, and Ugly Kid Joe, I'd be all over that in a heartbeat. That'd be such a fun show at the Freeman Arts Center, because like that,
and that's their wheelhouse. Like the age demographic that's around that area is a lot of people who are in their 50s and 60s and would completely appreciate it. Chick,
are you gonna get into problems over there?
Hey, get down. Pardon me.
Cats always like to be the center of attention while we're trying to do shows.
She's a problem. This is a baby Neko, but she doesn't want to sit with mommy.
Yeah, she just wants to cause issues.
Now she's gonna look outside. Good. Keep yourselves occupied.
Stepping away from the music a little bit.
What we got?
Neko came across a tidbit about a gentleman named James Howells who's been searching for a Bitcoin hard drive for over a decade.
So, a little personal story. I dabbled in the old Bitcoin, and not so much Bitcoin, but alternate crypto, and lost a lot of money. I thought I was on to the next thing. I thought we were going to be rich beyond our dreams. It was guaranteed. This is guaranteed. Don't do it. invest wisely. Don't be me. So anytime I see something about crypto, and I have my own little like locker, Christ only knows if there's any money on it anymore. I just like set it and forget it. I used to set it and watch it and just watch me lose money. And there were like actual lawsuits against some of these companies because they were so fraudulent. Now, again, any investment is your own risk, but they were so fraudulent with like, oh, it's pegged against the US dollar, so it's not going to lose value. It will. It does. And fast. And then they actually locked people out of their accounts so you couldn't withdraw the money as like the coin crashed. So don't be a Neko. Invest your money wisely. Pick some nice mature bonds. And
Yeah, the thing is, like, I always hear time and time again that people like Bitcoin, but then I hear it never really does anything for you.
So Bitcoin's a different story. Bitcoin's the granddaddy, right? And then all these other spin-off coins are trying to become the next Bitcoin. And I got in. It's been a couple of years. I got in. A lot of the guys I was working, it was when I was still sailing. A lot of the guys were like, "Oh, I'm gonna invest like a couple thou into this, and it's gonna be the next big."
See, we used to do that in the 80s. My dad used to do that with gold. So you would get like gold bars. Little gold bars are gold coins.
Yeah, but that's actual tangible things. I'm investing in pretend money.
Right, but I'm just saying that the theory is about the same because they think that it's because my dad was stocking up on that shit, but now could get a few things for it, but it's not as like cash is still God here. So like it's you still can do these other things like bonds. You can do bonds if you wanted to.
You can do the stock market.
Bitcoin was supposed to be like that new wave of like.
And if you got in early, like this dude, he's got 570 million of Bitcoin, but he can't find his hard drive.
Yeah, he's been apparently searching in a landfill for the last 12 years. And I have to wonder, like, how the fuck did it even get there in the first place? So he's been searching for the last 12 years for a hard drive that has his Bitcoin on there worth $732 million. I guess he's saying he's been through legal disputes and have been several occasions that prevent him from continuing to search at the landfill site. So I guess they don't want him to continue to sift around in there.
And they're trying to find him. And what this whole story is about is there's going to be a documentary made about James Howells and the struggles. And honestly, sometimes the squeaky wheel, if this makes enough noise, maybe he will find his lost hard drive. For me, I hope he does. God willing. I forgot. Scroll down a little bit. He said his ex-girlfriend mistakenly threw out the hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoins in 2013.
Ex-girlfriend?
Ex-partner.
Okay, yeah. I don't think that was an accident.
So he's been digging through this landfill, and he even tried to buy the landfill area.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry. I'm doing this, people. The council said it planned to close it. That's why they're giving him so much grief, because he's trying to keep accessing it, and they are making it no access.
Yeah, they're trying to like just seal it up and be done with it.
This is almost like the E.T. Atari documentary that we watched.
That was actually quite interesting.
So I hope this is just as interesting, and I hope my buddy finds his hard drive. Like, and that's the tough thing about any kind of crypto coin. Mine's, I don't know where the hell mine is. You know what? Maybe one day I'll log on and see if I have like 3 pennies left. I was doing all kinds of mining.
Every man and his dog wanted to film this, claiming he received about 200 offers from around the world, including the BAFTA and Emmy awarding production companies.
Wow.
So until recently, the timing really wasn't right with the legal battles. However, on Tuesday, the Los Angeles-based entertainment company LaBoule announced plans for a docuseries podcast and short-form content documenting Mr. Howell's mission to recover the mistakenly discarded hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoins. The problem is that also here, I have to wonder about weather tear. Like, technically, you could still get in and be okay, but it would have to be something like we have to pry open, like we remember how we used to do ours in the past. Had to pry them open, but I don't know with the weather, and because it gets cold there, rainy, muddy. I don't even know if he did find it, he can still access it. Like, that'd be a pretty tall task. I mean, I get like why he might want to, but I don't know, man. 12 years it's been sitting there.
I have like a little key thing that it's how you log in, and then it's just like out there. So that's might be why they started doing that, where you have like the little, it's kind of like your World of Warcraft thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like the little, how you get in. They call it a wallet. They didn't have that back then, and people had to store them themselves. So I have a wallet, and who the fuck knows what's in my wallet?
And this kind of goes with what you're saying. Prices began to rise in about 2016 and 17, again in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, when stock markets, cryptocurrencies, and meme coins went up hugely.
Yeah, it was me.
A lot of people got rich, but a lot of people also lost money.
This girl,
it's like stocks.
dumb, made some bad choices with, investments that were meant for my future. That's okay. YOLO.
YOLO. Okay, the other one's up there now.
I'm going to spank my cats live on air because they're so naughty. Girl, get down. What is it with this? Oh, we're going to rearrange this place so soon. Oh, Hazel never gets on screen. Look who it is, guys. It's Hazel.
Hazel cat. This always happens when we do this. They don't do this all day until now. And they just ate. It's like ridiculous.
I just gave her 7,000 kisses, and now she's going to go clean herself because she has to get the mommy kisses off of her. Look, she's all mad. I just kissed her. Ay. Oh.
So apparently, Billy Idol was looking for a long-lost son, Brant.
And it kind of came up through, I think, one of those DNA.
Yeah, it's like called, let me get this ad out of the way.
Get out of here.
23andMe test helped. And it says Billy Idol was a proud dad of a son and daughter for most.
And he didn't even know about this particular son until his daughter did a 23andMe with her DNA. And then,
but how was the other guy just? His DNA was already in there, or like? So,
like when you, and this is for any Ancestry 23andMe. So she did a 23andMe, and like when you go in, it does like these little branches and stuff, and it connected to her half brother in a way that was like, this is a brother, this is a sibling. So she like was like, holy crap, this is a sibling. And Billy Idol, I mean, he was Billy Idol. I'm sure he was banging everything back in the day. So like,
look at the picture. So I'm assuming that's his son there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does he not look like the what do they call them? The it's the couple that always do the walk in the shadow of death. You know, he starts fucking with her and he starts doing
and then she throws a water bottle. Yeah.
He looks like that dude. Punk Rocker first introduced his fans to his son, Brant, in 2023 when he joined the Star of Hollywood Walk of Fame Star ceremony. I really enjoyed being a dad. I was always wanted a boy and a girl, and finagled my way into a boy and a girl in your own daft way. That sounds very British.
He actually had a son. I didn't realize. He fathered it on the Rebel Yell tour.
Of course
That's
he did.
fantastic.
More.
That is so great. But Bonnie became a mother herself. She decided she wanted to learn more about her family tree. Keep scrolling.
So my husband just surprised me with 23andMe and a DNA test as a Christmas present. she says in the doc, and then a few weeks later, I get the results back on the app and open it. And I'm like, who is this? This Brandt. And it says his life's info, like New York, 1985, looking for my biological dad. So he was, okay, so he was looking for his dad too.
Mm-hmm. And he obviously did his own 23andMe because if you're not on there, it's not going to know. So he probably was.
That's why I was wondering, I was like, how they were able to find, because he had to be, his DNA had to be in the system.
So what's cool is I guess they're making a documentary about this as well. And we are behind on our documentaries, boy.
I don't know if that's been made yet, has it?
It says, Brent says in the documentary, so I'm guessing it's coming out. Yeah.
But when the man took a DNA test and the matches came up short, questions emerged. And so I was like, Mom, is there a chance Mark might not be my biological father?
Oh, he was. Oh.
Well, I wonder how that went. You had to say, Mom, like, who'd you fuck?
Maybe my dad's not my dad. And Mom's like, well, Billy Idol did come through.
Well,
here.
She's like, well, it's pretty crazy, but back in the day we broke up and I actually spent a weekend with Billy Idol.
I mean,
dude, but I have to wonder though, like,
how many of these kids?
But Mark's like, he's probably gone the entire life thinking Brandt's his son. And even though he might know about the split they had, but like, you know, he probably never really put it together that it could be Billy's kid. Like, that's crazy.
Well, maybe Brandt never knew about the
Once
Billy
I saw
Idol
Brandt
weekend.
with Bonnie and William, they all got the same quirky sense of humor, he says. And once I saw that, I could see he's my son. He's a man who loves his family.
Ah, there it is. Billy Idol Should Be Dead. We got to check that out. It's this year, Tribeca Film Festival.
Whoops. He definitely showed me a lot to love, so I'm blessed. Yeah, it's with Brandt now fully part of the brood. Idol has embraced life as a grandfather to Bonnie's daughters, Poppy and Mary Jane.
And Brandt's.
Mackenzie and Mason.
That's really cool.
Well, hopefully everyone's handled it with grace, you know. Because I'd feel bad if Mark was kind of upset about it all.
I think.
Yeah, he probably went to a lot like Brent. You know, Brent's like, "You're such a great dad, Mark." You know, you're so awesome. Then it's like, then when you find out Billy Idol's your dad's like, "You're not that great."
Billy Idol, I do love him. Remember in The Wedding Singer when Billy Idol was on the plane and the big like motorcycle guy's like, "You don't mess with Billy Idol." So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a fun, quirky little story. And as you can tell, these are nice, fun, quirky stories.
So yeah, the film follows his rise to fame, becoming an MTV era superstar, his heroin addictions, and his 1990 fatal motorcycle accident, and more. So yeah, I'd check that out, and we probably would review that on this particular segment of a channel.
The Cultureverse Mindset.
Yes.
Coming to a YouTube near you.
A YouTube near you? Mm-hmm. All right. Sticking with TV. I do find this pretty interesting, so we're going to go down the list here.
Oh, no. What do you have?
So it is Screen Rant, which covers a lot of movie news and stuff.
I'm fixing
has their 20 best sitcom opening credits of all time.
Oh, I thought that was okay. So you got to go down, and we have to think. They're ranking them. Screen Rant is ranking them, but we also have to agree or disagree.
Oh yeah, we will. We're gonna find
like not
out.
Even with the ranking. Like, do you think it's even?
Because you and I a while back we did our top 50. I did my top 50 movies of the last century because we did that article where I was not agreeing with like what their position were because they were using inclusivity and DEI stuff as far as like their measuring stick of like what was important.
So like for me,
it was about entertainment.
That's what I mean. Like for a TV show intro, like
yeah, so this would be like something that's catchy,
It
quirky.
stays in your head. You remember it. Even if you've never seen the show, you will know, like, Cheers.
Right.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows you're
And,
like, everybody knows Cheers.
People know Dukes of Hazzard.
You know Friends.
Yep. Friends would be listed right there. You see the picture.
I see the picture up there. Yeah. So you think of some of the iconic, intros to sitcoms, and it's. I'm going for memorable right now. Like when I look at this, I want memorable. I'm not looking for like.
It's hard because again, like off the top of my head, Friends would probably be there, and then Cheers. Those are two big ones.
The Simpsons, you can hear it in your head. The Simpsons, South Park.
Yes.
What else? Like for me, Gilmore Girls, because not only is
I'd be surprised in a list. I mean,
I don't think it's on
Sex
here.
And the City?
Yeah, Sex and the City. That
was a pretty big, great series.
I remember like in the early 2000s, like when Sex and the City was getting ready to be like 2005, I think it was when it was over. Before we had like actual real music sounding ringtones, the Sex and the City theme was like a stock ringtone on one of my phones, and I was real excited about that.
Well, let's start with number 20.
Okay.
And we'll see if we agree. Now, are we going to agree that it should be on the list or agree where it's ranked?
Agree if it should be on the list. Because like we have...
Ranking could be anything.
Ranking could be anything. Like we could sit here all day and argue this should be 15. This should
How about that ghost ad for Skeletor? Skeletor.
Oh, holy shit.
That's fun.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I want that poster.
So at number 20, Married with Children definitely belongs on the list.
Yeah, I remember the stamp, and then you had the fountain. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Most definitely.
And it's such a click through it. It has a couple of the
the pictures.
Yeah, like on the little arrow thing.
Ed O'Neill, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I still to this day I'll go and I'll watch people react because like you have younger people that are reacting to the comedy of this era, which is very not kosher to say. So
it wasn't even kosher to that day. Fox was a new station. This is before Fox News. This is before Fox was just this. And this was a new channel. And Ed O'Neill was talking about when he was doing his audition for this. And he played this, I think, a lot differently than it was initially conceptualized. So he said, I remembered, I like looked at the script and it was like, I was getting ready to walk through the door after having a hard day at work. And I just kind of did like a sigh or something. And I guess nobody else kind of like had those small little things.
Well, Hammer's always like, oh, Peg.
Oh, Peg. So yeah, this is totally, I mean, I've seen so many episodes of this and yeah, belongs on the list.
And it's cool because Ed O'Neill, now I haven't watched a lot of Modern Family, but he went from being very popular in this to now being popular in Modern Family, even though he's not really the focal point as like some of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, he is the figurehead. He's the father.
And same with Katie Seagal. As the wife, she was great in this, and then she went to do Sons of Anarchy.
She's done a lot.
Which was a more like serious role for her, but very good actress. And of course, Christina Applegate, I think every teenager, including myself, had crushes on her at the time.
Remember The Sweetest Thing?
Yes. And that's the thing. Like, Christina was very good at doing
funny.
Comedy in movies. So, like,
did you watch Dead to Me with her and Linda Cardellini?
No, but I did watch.
Because those two were so...
The big hit, Mark Wahlberg, which you didn't really like him outside of certain things.
You know how I feel about Mark Wahlberg. He just needs to drop his underwear and
then David Faustino. I know he did like a couple little things after this, but he never really kind of blew up after this show. But together they were all very good in this.
It was a good ensemble.
Yeah, very good.
Absolutely.
19, Full House. Now, I don't remember the intro that much. I mean, I know the show was very popular, but I can't like the call right now. I can't recall the intro itself.
Everywhere you look, everywhere.
I mean, unless I see the rest of the list, I don't know if I can say yay, nay.
I'm going to agree with this because.
Now, do I think that, like, I'm thinking maybe Charles in Charge should probably, or Who's the Boss?
I don't know if that's on the list, but I'm just saying from Full House, they belong on this list. I almost think they should be below Married with Children,
Yes.
but it's.
Right now, it's just a matter of, like, does it belong?
I do think so, because the iconic Golden Gate Bridge at the beginning, they're all in that, like, vintage car, driving around. Yes, totally.
And that's another one they kind of brought back for an updated version of the show.
It was kind of cute, you know.
The Office, yes.
100% this. I hear the do-do-do, So I would watch this on repeat, and he's like, "You're watching The Office again, aren't you?" Uh-huh. 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 It's just, he and I used to work in a company that sold paper and office products. So that's how we met. We met in 2002 working for The Office. And
the funny thing is, like, even though the American one did very well here, the British one was not that bad either. A lot of people really enjoyed that one, which was the original. So the fact that you had two of them that were able to kind of like be a staple to viewership is pretty impressive. And of course, it helped launch John Krasinski and a lot of different things from here.
Steve Carell.
Yeah. All right, let's go into number 70, Parks and Rec.
Yes. You know, I love my Parks and Rec.
Yeah, this is another one that, you know, basically, now Amy had been around for a little while.
Well, she was on Saturday Night Live, and she also had been in some movies, and there's your boy.
There's Aziz Ansari. He kind of went and did some movies and other
there he is. There's your boy. There's your boy right there.
Adam Scott, Step Brothers. And then Rob Lowe, man, like he's one of those guys that just pops up randomly in different series over the years.
And he's great and funny in this. He's so like, I feel like he's Rob Lowe is playing Rob Lowe, but on crack in this, because Rob Lowe, he is very into his Atkins and his diet, and that's what he is in this show too. So he's like Rob Lowe squared or cubed.
All right, number 16, Community, which I've never
seen Community. Is that a bad thing, or
I don't know,
but it's in Greendale, Colorado. So should we watch it, or?
Well, I mean, I'll try anything once, but like, if you ask me at this moment, does it belong in this list? I would say no.
No, because I'm thinking of like so many other like iconic.
Because even if I would sit there and say, okay, by the time we get to the end of the list, let's say Gilmore Girls isn't there, I would think Gilmore would be more involved in this than this one, just based on reputation. Like, I don't know how the ratings did, but I've never heard of this. Like, not even in passing. That's the difference. Like, people have always talked about The Office, Parks and Rec, or, you know, different shows, Gilmore Girls, whatever. But this one's one that I had never heard of.
I've heard of it slightly in passing.
Has Alison Brie, which I do like her. She's done some movies.
I do like Alison Brie a lot.
Yvette Nicole Brown. She sounds familiar. Donald Glover, I do know him as well, but I don't know this show. So, All in the Family, yes, belongs. No doubt about it. Definitely one of the ones that will not stand up today because of the racial undertones and stuff like that. But even though at the time, like, none of them were racist, but just the era that
yeah, I think it's just a lot of stuff, even from our time, that when this came out, this was still kind of pushing the envelope.
Well, so is Dukes of Hazzard. So, but you know, it's funny because you had stuff like this, and then Jeffersons, like also, but the Jeffersons was more from the black viewpoint. But
but George Jefferson was his neighbor.
Yes,
and he's moving on up.
Yep.
You know who's singing that song? Lenny Kravitz's mother.
Oh wow.
I don't remember her name, but yeah, like this. The thing that kills me looking at this is they are supposed to be our age.
I will say one thing is very.
So I'm like Edith is in her 40s.
Yeah.
Like, and Archie's in his 50s.
I went back and watched the heartbreaking episode when she died.
I know, but wasn't that Archie's place, or was that the finale of All in the Family?
The finale, yeah. Now we're at 15, so let's kind of just take a gander here. What else would we like to see in this? So would Dukes of Hazzard be in that list?
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. We talked about that one.
I Love Lucy. Yes. You got to think like what sticks in your head. MASH.
Oh,
yeah.
Good one.
Because MASH is when you know it's time to go to bed when you're a little kid.
Yeah. That's too risky for you guys.
All right, guys, time to go to bed. Because you hear the
yeah, we'll come back to it. So look, 14, Bewitched. I do remember it. Mary Tyler Moore.
Yes, Mary Tyler Moore.
Will it make the list though?
I hope so. Who can turn the world on?
I do remember Bewitched. Although I don't know, like I used to actually watch the show.
I did too.
Kid.
She do a little twinkle.
But this one was different than I Dream of Jeannie, though. This one was different.
Yeah, because she was trying to pretend to not be a witch. She was trying to live like I'm not a witch.
And I think a lot of the movies, like you remember the movie with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock,
Practical Magic.
Yes, it's sort of kind of going off of that vibe.
She's like a covert witch. She wants to be like, look at me, and this whole thing shows it. But like I Dream of Jeannie, she was like, master.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. There it is. Mary Tyler Moore.
I want to throw my beret up in the air right now. This is pre-Gilmore Girls, my favorite. Pre-Sex in the City, pre-Gilmore. This is my show.
And I can't remember, did she do this first or was it the other show?
Dick Van Dyke was first.
Yeah.
So she was on Dick. That's another one that's got the like quirky, like, you know.
Oh, I could tell you 12 is one you're gonna love.
But this was my show, and I discovered it in the 90s.
You're gonna notice Neko's gonna say that about 50 times during this.
No, but you understand. You know, this is my show. Like I've watched it over and over and over again. Uh-oh.
So So obviously she has a connection to Dick Van Dyke, and this actually is a decent show. We talked about this kind of like at one point. I don't know if it was even for a podcast, but we were talking about just it has like a serious angle because she's like it was after a breakup marriage, I think, and then
so they didn't want her to be a divorcee.
Yeah. So
she was supposed to be engaged, and she broke her engagement, and she moved to Minneapolis. And she's a single. This is like a big thing, you know. She's a single girl in her 30s, in the 70s, dating, and it's like, you're supposed to be married and have kids by now. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. So they were
going with the whole, like, you know, free love sort of
and
thing.
She's also a career woman. She's a producer, and that was a big thing.
Right.
Like she chose to be a career woman over marrying who she was supposed to
represent.
So I like, you know how much I love Mary Tyler Moore. So like it just.
So, but again, we're in a list to where it's the opening credits are memorable. So this is definitely one that belongs. The next one,
and she with that.
The next one I know is a very popular show, the one you like. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure about the intro. So you're gonna have to tell me whether or not you think it belongs. How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
So the intro you think belongs, not just because of the reputation of the show.
So this show came out in the early 2000s, and you see no phones. You got the, and it's like, I hope everyone out there got this experience like I did in my 20s, where you have like this group of friends and you're leaning on each other for everything. And this looks like a bunch of cheap snapshots from the throwaway camera, right? Like, just like this, that's what this looks like. It looks like you're flipping through, and that's why I like it so much. Now, granted, I would put Mary Tyler Moore way up higher than How I Met Your Mother, or because I think it's a more iconic intro. This, though, really makes me feel like, how much I loved my friends when I was in my 20s. I still love them, obviously, but we're all off on different paths. And that's what this show really kind of portrayed. Like,
now this next one, I don't know, because you talk about so many different shows and like so many great intros. Like I'm surprised to see it, but I'm very happy to, and I know you will be too.
let me see if it's an iconic intro.
Oh, it is. New Girl.
Who's that girl? Yep. It's just.
Yes. So
See,
yeah, Zoe Deschanel.
Oh, she doesn't have her glasses on. See, I don't know if you guys can kind of see, like, I've modeled my look. Who's that girl? It's just. Yes, I also think too, like, it's a little too high up. I think this should be number 20. I think this is a solid beginning, and I think it's a hysterical show.
Oh, it's so good.
I just, and I remember after Zoe, she had to keep that haircut for the show for so long, and then she cut her hair, and she took off her glasses and she grew out her bangs, and everybody was like, whoa, because she had like a bob or something. They were like so freaked out by the way they looked. And then like the joke came around, like, oh, how did nobody know that Clark Kent was Superman? Then they put like Zoe with, and then her haircut, and they're like, I don't know. So I dug this show a lot. I thought it was funny. I just don't think it's an iconic opening. I think it's,
well, yeah.
I think it doesn't belong on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say it doesn't belong, because I remember them. That's the thing for me. It's if I remember it, that I think it belongs. But
who's that?
It's
girl?
only 20, so how many other ones are they passing up on that might be more iconic?
Well, I'm already some of the other ones I said.
Yeah.
Cheers, MASH.
Well, we still got 10 to go. So.
All right.
At number 10, Malcolm in the Middle, which I do not know. I mean, I know the show. I just never.
I've seen the show, and I don't remember the intro, so that needs to knock. And it's not a bad show.
That 70s show should be on your.
Yeah,
probably.
that 70s show should definitely. Look, I've seen the show. It's okay. Malcolm in the Middle.
What's the one that they did years ago? It's similar in theme. Jesus Christ. They might have it in the list, but it was an old one from the 80s but it has a similar vibe. I didn't know Bryan Cranston was in that one.
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is not a bad show. I'm just saying I don't think the intro is a number 10. This one should be number 20.
Yeah.
And then New Girl should be number 19.
Right.
I said we weren't going to do that, but I am.
The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, I can see this being on the list.
And it's quick, it's fast, it's
very popular, obviously.
the whole world. I don't know if it should be this high.
Yeah, agreed.
Wait, It was a pretty popular band who sang this. Scroll down. Does it say who it is?
Let's see.
It's on the tip of my tongue because the who sang Hey Now You're an All-Star?
So it's not Tub Thumping.
No. Anyway, I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna drive me crazy. But I
know the band you're speaking of. Yeah, I agree with this one. Saved by
Yup,
the Bell,
that-
definitely.
when I wake up in the morning and the alarm goes out a warning.
Like how young he looks there.
Hold on.
Mario Lopez.
Now tell me. Oh my God. Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's who sang. Okay. It's been 1 week. So anyway, Saved by the Bell 100% belongs.
And it's probably about right in spot.
Mm-hmm.
70s show, yes. We just talked about this. Definitely belongs. It's very catchy.
We're all right. We're all right.
Yeah. Can't really get past that. That's definitely.
I think it's a little high though. Like
I
if
don't
we're
know.
talking about of all time.
Well, one of the hard things is though, like for you and I, we can sit there and argue. It's like you mentioned, MASH. MASH should be more iconic than this.
Mhm.
However, if we're in the modern age, so younger people aren't going to remember.
Okay,
MASH.
so like Laura, I don't know about Prepon. She is also in Orange Is the New Black, and I think that is a more iconic beginning than that 70s show.
Ooh, this will be controversial.
Let me
So
see.
now we're definitely going to get more into stuff that we would probably see further down the list, in our opinion.
Okay, let me see.
Big Mouth, never heard of it.
Me either. Keep scrolling.
No idea. Aired from 2000. It's a more recent one, but I do not. Jordan Peele, I know his name, obviously. So okay, so I do recall the name because it's animated. That makes Simpsons got to be in here. If they're gonna put this one in there, it has to be. But I don't know if this is bigger than any of the other ones we've talked about.
I don't know. That's number 20. Then we put New Girl.
The Nanny. Yeah, it was popular. I mean, but
I don't think the intro that needs to go off the list. I don't think
because if you're gonna put this, so you got like
we're talking about the intro, right? Like we're literally talking about the intro.
And I wouldn't say this is more iconic than say Facts of Life or Punky Brewster.
Punky Brewster. Oh my God.
So I love Fran Drescher, obviously. I used to watch the show a lot. She's very funny.
And this is a good show. We're not
But
talking
yeah,
about
it's
the show. I don't
way
think
too high, and probably wouldn't make.
it
my
should not
list.
make off. Go.
Number 4, Friends. Yep, might be a little too low. I think this should probably be number 1 just because of how popular the show was.
If you played the first like 3 seconds, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. Your life's a joke, you broke. Your love life DOA. Yeah. It's like you're always stuck in second
So
gear.
yeah, this is right up there. It's definitely one that needs to be top 5 without a doubt. All
but
right.
as an iconic,
The Brady Bunch.
I didn't
The
even
Brady
think
Bunch.
everybody knows the Brady Bunch. Yes, this belongs. This is yes.
Definitely.
Here's a story of a lovely lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody knows the boxes, and yes, 100%.
Yep. Fresh Prince over there.
Oh yeah.
Will Smith
Shit.
when he wasn't busy
Well,
slapping people on stage.
This is a story all about how my life got twisted upside down.
Yeah, let me see. Okay. So number 1.
Number 1.
Take a shot. Who do you think it is?
It's got to be Cheers. It's got to be Cheers. Cheers. It's got to be Cheers.
You're gonna lose your shit. But it's not because this one doesn't belong up this high, but because of the things we've seen and we've talked about already. The Simpsons. So yes, I get it.
So there is no Cheers on this?
That's
That's
a crime.
That is ridiculous. Come on. Sometimes you wanna go wherever.
So Simpsons belongs in top 5, no doubt about it. But Cheers is almost as iconic
as Friends.
Yes, it's right there.
If you hear that dun da 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 da, like you.
Oh,
Seinfeld. Boom, 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 boom.
I mean, that still gets used by so many people. That bass line and everything. So yeah, there's like about 5 to 6 in here that do not belong in this top.
Now, I'm happy The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Who made this? Screen Rant? Do we trust them?
They're off and on, but yeah, they can tend to be a little bit.
And I get what they're trying. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to be contemporary as well, but like, if we're talking about iconic, not the show, we're talking about iconic themes.
Cheers is like one of the top. Ever.
So, Mary Tyler Moore, God bless them, but that there is a statue in Minneapolis.
Oh my God.
Of her flinging her beret.
So here's some that they just didn't put in there now. Addams Family.
Holy shit! Everybody knows that.
Yes. Sanford and Son. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. How about Golden Girls? Cheers is on this list of somebody made. Oh, fuck me, dude. How is Happy Days not on this?
Sunday, Monday.
How are they not on this?
Okay, so are they trying to like?
Now there's some other ones in here that are again animated stuff like the Flintstones and Jetsons, but if I'm gonna redo this, I'm taking out the Simpsons. I'm taking anything that's animated out and putting that.
Maybe make an animated thing and a non-animated.
Exactly. Because obviously the Flintstones and Jetsons are very big, but you can't. Some of this they just can't compare with. That's insane. Oh, Gilligan's Island.
Now here's the tale. Yeah. What else?
Let's see. Now they don't. There's someone called something called Living Single, but I would say Living Color. Although that's more of a comedy show.
Well, there is Living Single is a show, but no, like.
What about the Cosby Show?
What else?
Three's Company. Someone mentioned MASH and Cheers. That comes up a lot.
Come and knock on my door. Yeah. We'll be waiting for you.
Oh, fucking Love Boat.
Love, exciting and new. Like there are so many more better than this that we want to fling off of this list.
Yeah, if we redid it, it would be a lot different.
So is that going to be our homework? We're going to like pick our.
Yeah, because we're going to call it a day. We had one more we were going to talk about, but we'll just save that.
No, we'll talk about it because
I want to keep these to like an hour.
Yeah, but what's the last one?
It's Rob.
Well, we'll just make a little blurb.
Okay.
A quick blurb. Because our buddy Rob swears.
Basically, I don't have I have it over here, but not up there. But so a site called SavorSports.com went on Facebook. They announced that Rob Halford, singer of Judas Priest, was officially announcing his retirement at age 73.
Nothing has been
I've seen even just
confirmed.
Doing a Google search, they've said that Rob has not decided that, even though those are like 2024. However, he is an old guy, but he's still
he's been through a lot. You have to remember, he's been through a lot. He's been through cancer. Like he is been through a lot.
But over the years, this guy is the man. Like he is without a doubt done a lot of different styles with Judas Priest. From classic rock to heavy metal to progressive, they've done progressive
to Leather Daddy.
Yeah, Just a lot over the years. They've lasted so long, and even with the last two albums, Invisible Shield and Firepower, which kind of brought them back to like the Painkiller era a little bit in terms of ferocity. Now they've lost some of the other members to either because of they didn't get along or they just left on their own or whatever. But nevertheless, those albums are still very good, and Rob is still in top form, at least on record. I didn't see him in concert during the last few years, but I've understood he's still singing at a high level. The guy is just a master class and a professional singer and stageman. Like
I think Leather Daddy is my favorite Rob Halford, honestly.
We've seen him like a few times over the years.
I think like 4 times we've seen Judas Priest. And it is a show. Like, it's a show. He's changing outfits. He's got his motorcycle. He is out there to perform, and it's something that you appreciate when you see Judas Priest. Look at this dude.
How do they not know? Hey, cat.
Sorry, she's trying to pull out the push. Look, that's what I said. Like I know that it was very. Oh, look at him trying to be alternative. Oh, Rob, that's not you.
That was when he was doing Fight and 2, and that's after his coming out phase, of course.
Just stick with being Leather Daddy. That's all I want you to be. There you go. We're getting back to it. I honestly.
Well, he did great too on his solo stuff in the early 2000s, because that's like when he did Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
That record was fucking amazing.
I seriously, like, when we went to see Judas Priest. There we go. That's what I want.
He bringing that bike out, boy. And he also, I think, I don't know if it was when he was doing Painkiller. I think it was. He had Baby Metal come out and play, sing with him, which was kind of cool.
So Rob Halford is my Leather Daddy. Just keep it up. See, he understands. He's leaning into his fan base. I am Leather Daddy. I'm good.
Well, he's metal incarnate.
Mm-hmm. And he had this cape, and it was completely studded. It was, I have no words for this cape. It must have weighed 85 pounds. Like, I really appreciated seeing Judas Priest, and we got to see Priest like as the headliner multiple times.
Well, that's one thing I can appreciate about them is that
they'll play forever.
Well, we saw
they'll do like 12 encores.
Well, we never saw them play like a festival.
No, we saw just Judas Priest.
Right, and that's the thing that we talked about this the other day with 311 is that it's nicer to kind of catch some of these long-standing bands when they can play most of the material, because sure, I would like to go and
there's Baby Metal.
Yep, I would like to go and see them on Ozfest, but what would it really be worth it unless they were headlining, because they'd be on stage for 45 minutes, and that's just not enough to get through their stuff. Especially now, because you and I were watching Ozfest in the early 2000s. So now here we are in 2025, so it's almost 20 years later.
Oh,
already.
We old.
Yeah. But the dude was just whenever he passes and goes, it's going to be a big loss for the metal.
I don't even want to think about it.
Right.
At all.
He's going to live forever. He's a vampire.
I think that he survived, the homophobia, right? Like, he survived it, and he came out not like he's like, I'm gay and I'm metal, and gay and metal can go together. Like, it's not a big deal.
Well, back then it was very closed-minded with it, and
he survived it, and he proved it with his talent.
That because when he came back with Fight, and he was still showing that he was so fucking metal, still a badass. He was proving that gayness wasn't weak. It's not something that makes men weaker or anything like that. And when he did that, it changed the whole dynamic, because then people were like, there's nothing wrong with this dude at all.
I think the shock was so much because he was like the metal god, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm just so surprised. Like, but what sucks is just that, like, what happened, he had to kind of like go a little bit away and then come back. But God bless Rob. God, love him. Love Rob. And if you are retiring, I am happy that we've seen him 3 or 4 times, and
he's put into work. I mean,
and he's been through a lot in his life. So maybe he does. And Rob loves cats, so maybe he just wants to hang out with his cats and drink tea, because he's sober. He does not drink wine like me. So maybe he just wants to just sip tea with his cats and retire. Like, everyone has that you can retire and enjoy your life. Some people don't want to retire, or some people's wives, like Sharon Osbourne, force their husband to be like fucking puppets
put their corpse out there.
Mhm.
Make me that money.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, coming up later this week on the Military podcast, a few
What we got?
Hopefully it still goes through. I have it planned for Wednesday. I'm going to sit down with British actress Lindsay Crane to talk a little bit, interview her, and talk about some of the movies she's
How to
made.
Kill Monsters?
Yep.
Awesome.
So we just reviewed that on Google's. Tony and I did, and Tony's seen Book of Monsters as well, so he's familiar with a couple of movies from her. But definitely want to sit down and talk to her. Seems like a really nice gal, and I'm interested in her.
I'm
history.
excited for you.
Then Tony and I, at least on my end, as far as the Ghouls of Midnight, we are going to be tackling the 2025 movie Ash. In fact, Neko was kind of watching that with me the other night.
That's a little fucking crazy.
Yeah, a little weird, but it has nice scenery and stuff. But we'll dive into that for he and I on that day. And then on Saturday, Vintage Cult Cinema comes back, and I have Thrash Pondo Pons joining me to talk about 1977's The Car. The Car. So yeah, we'll be reviewing that film, classic 70s TV film. So that's gonna be a lot of fun on the way on the Meltdown Radio podcast. With that said, thank you all. Like and subscribe to the Meltdown Radio podcast. Give us your comments. What do you feel about some of these topics we talked about? You enjoy the Dark Side of the Moon, Rob's history, his legacy in the metal.
What do you think about like the sitcom intros?
Right. We had a lot to say.
I mean, like, I'm like a little perturbed about all this.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight, and we'll see you later on the Military Radio podcast.
Jesus.
Just for you.